Hello, everyone. So let's give few minutes for others to join. Hello, everyone. Um, just we will be starting soon. Just a second. And I believe I'm audible properly to you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. So by the time those who have already joined, since this is basically the demo session, so it's more a session for you where you can put all your questions, what you are expecting out of this course, what you think about performance testing and JMeter, and basically any question that you have in your mind before getting or involving in this course. So let's make this session interactive. I hope having good questions or a good number of questions from you.
Hi Ashutosh, this is Sona here. I've been in manual testing for quite a long time and now I want to learn the JMeter. So basically, I am expecting why do we go for JMeter against all the load testing tools and the significance of JMeter and along with all technologies, it go, all these things are my expectations.
Yeah, thanks for your question. So we'll take this question. Definitely, this is one of the frequently asked question, like that exactly that should we go with JMeter and what's the scope and what's the things we can expect after completing or having a knowledge on JMeter. So we'll answer this question. Just allow me a minute. Let's few folks to join, then we'll start soon. Yeah, the question that I take Actually, I was on mute, and since I'm talking now, I believe that you can now hear me. Amresh, is it fine?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. So I have one question. So let me quickly repeat that question and try answering that. So there is a question like most of you these are in automation or in manual. Now, since you are going to join this JMeter course, so the expectation is that how helpful this course would be, and how much effort do I need, or how much effort I need to put in order to understand this course since I'm in automation or in manual. Okay, so first thing, like the transition will be smooth. So if you are in automation or in manual, basically you are a working professional either in QA, automation, or manual. So your transition will be smooth. You would be able to understand each and every concept that I will discuss here about this performance testing and JMeter. So first thing that you pre-knowledge to let this course start. One of the frequently asked question is like, do we need coding knowledge or the programming language knowledge in order to understand this performance testing with JMeter? So I would say yes, you need basic programming language knowledge, or if you know Java, which I believe you would, that would be enough. But having programming language knowledge, or I would say having Java knowledge, even basic, um, will be helpful in learning only few parts of JMeter. Like there are few concepts of advanced scripting. If you are aware about the JSR223 scripting or bin shell scripting, so there you can avail those Java basic knowledge in order to do something advanced. But in most of the cases, like 80 to 90% cases, you don't need any Java knowledge as well. That's what the simplicity is, because this JMeter is quite easy to learn as compared to other performance testing tools. So there you don't need programming language knowledge as well. Now, coming to this one another point, like how much helpful will be if I learn this JMeter being in automation and manual. Okay, so I would say that would be definitely helpful, and it will be actually even more helpful if you have any internal job in your organization. Okay, so in that case, you can get most of the benefit of having JMeter and performance testing knowledge. So internal jobs will be actually quite easy to you to get this. Otherwise, if you learn this course, you get to know all the concepts and whatever we are going to learn throughout this course, you can definitely justify more than 1 year of experience in performance testing. So you can actually apply for the other jobs as well, which actually asks for a beginner level or intermediate level performance testing knowledge. So there as well, you can actually show that, okay, I know all these concepts, I do have experience, I know performance testing. So in that case as well, there would be a benefit for you.
Just one question here. This is H1. So, is this course is enough to clear the interview?
Just going through this course, definitely there would be difficulties for you to intermediate level of interviews, because interviews are something which are not a very straightforward questions that you will be asked. But there are few limited questions, I would say. So I would share a few interview related questions to you as well that you can
Okay,
actually.
let me put my question in this way. Is this course is enough to generate the report and analyze the report and share the info to the client? Is that enough?
Yes, so going through this course, you will have understanding on reports, reports terminologies. If you already heard about these terminologies about TPS or throughput, So something like that. So definitely going through this, you would be able to generate HTML report, and those reports can be shared. Even you can justify like, okay, I did this run with this much of users. This is what the results are. This is what the error. This is what the TPS. This is what the response time. So all these things you can actually justify.
Okay. Thanks, Ashish.
Okay, by the way, this side Amit Gupta, let me share my screen and introduce myself. So, okay, I believe my screen is visible. So my name is Amit Gupta, and I am a performance engineer, and I will be your instructor throughout this course. And I have put down the course highlights, like what are the things that we are going to cover at a high level, but this is not the entire list, I would say, because if I say about performance scenario, this is not just a single statement on scenario. There are quite many things we will be learning. These points actually cover the key aspects that we are going to look throughout this course. Yeah, I'm here. Okay, so let me quickly go through these topics, and so that you can get idea that what we are going to cover in this course. So going through this, first you will be having all basic knowledge of performance testing in JMeter. Even further, there would be some intermediate level concepts. So I would say this course is not just basic, but it's touches the intermediate areas as well. Next, definitely you are going to learn about the performance testing concepts and terminologies by going through this test. So the one thing is you are going to learn about performance testing with JMeter. Okay, but what the thing is, when we talk about performance testing, so it's a concept. It's the terminologies. There are terminologies. It's a concept that applies to any of other tools as well, not just JMeter. Okay, but we are going to learn about these concepts like creating a scenario, what threads are, what is ramp up, what is steady state, and all other things, relating it with JMeter. But once you are done, or once we complete this course, then it would be quite easy for you to actually apply all these concepts of designing a scenario, or what threads are, how ramp up works in different tools. You can actually easily get those concepts. So our focus would be with JMeter only, but after completion or after understanding it well, you can apply all these concepts of performance testing, of scripting, not entirely of scripting, because scripting is more of a JMeter side we will be looking for, but concepts will be similar for other tools as well. Okay, so we'll look at these terminologies, which is a global terminologies, nothing to do with JMeter. Okay, these will remain same for any interview or for any other tools.
Can you give us a brief of other tools? Which other tools are industry
Okay,
is
so
using?
uh, we learn a JMeter, which a tool that helps us, that helps doing performance, but there are other tools as well. One of older and reliable tools which is in market is the learner. There is a recent tool, not recent, actually, is capturing market very fast, is NeoLoad as well. There are other tools as well, like WebLoad. There is a Aqua tool as well. Now this BlazeMeter is actually coming into picture. So cloud tools, which is, so there are other tools available, but those tools have their benefits and limitations. Benefits wise,
Amit, we are unable to hear you.
Amit, your voice is breaking a lot.
Hey, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, Amit.
Okay, sorry for that. So there are a few tools which are already available in market, which has their own benefit and limitation. Benefit wise, they are actually I mean, if I talk about the one of the related tool of related to JMeter, which is BlazeMeter, which is a cloud-based tool. So benefit itself that it's a cloud-based. You don't need to maintain your load generator and take care of the reports and all to store that. But limitations is actually I will not say the limitations, but you have to pay for that. So you have to take the subscription. Okay. So these are the things. Even if you go for the load runner and any other tool like NeoLoad, you have to pay for the subscription. So the most benefit of this JMeter tool is that it's a free open source and does most of the work that those tool does. Okay, so that's why we are going for the JMeter, because industry is demanding for JMeter. They have not to pay for the license and any other costs. So that's why we are going with JMeter, and most of the industry is now demanding. Okay, so I will quickly go through these high-level points. Performance metrics we'll talk about. Since one of you asked about the performance results or the reports, so I will let you know about the performance results in reports, what terminologies are, and what you can report in a, I mean, what metrics you can report in your performance result. So we'll talk at that aspect. We'll look at the performance scenarios, different scenarios you can design based on the different requirement. Say you have to run your performance test for a longer period of duration, or you have to generate a spike in your test, or you have to put quite high load. So depending on the different objectives or different requirement, you can adjust your performance scenario. So we'll look actually what is scenario, and based on the different requirement, how you can create your own scenario. We'll cover different other things of JMeter. So basically, apart from these, what I have mentioned, there are a few concepts that we will look, basically the JMeter related aspects like functions, variables, writing your own logic, using controllers and all. So we'll look at those as well. But anyway, I mean, going through this course, you would be able to definitely work on the scripting part. So correlation, which is quite important, that is a major topic in any interview, and this data-driven testing, or we call it parameterization. So this is one of the key important topic. Assertions will definitely look, controllers will definitely look, and then other things definitely we will be looking. One of the thing that we will cover is the database testing, how to design a database scenario in JMeter, and then what are the benefit of doing database
Sorry for
testing.
disturbing. Are you sharing something?
Okay, is my screen not visible? Sorry for that. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Not now.
Not
Is
yet.
visible, is visible to any others? Now it is visible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now it
now.
is visible.
Okay, so I was just going through this list that what exactly at a high level we are going to cover. You just look like you just mark all these points, correlation,
So whatever the things
data-driven
you
testing.
mentioned in the bullet points, these topics you will cover, is it?
These topics will definitely be covered. Apart from that, there are quite other things which will be covered, like functions or variables I didn't mention, assertions I didn't mention, assertions I mentioned, but I think different listeners I didn't. So it's not limited to what I just mentioned, but it is like what I have mentioned, it will definitely be covered.
Okay.
Make sense?
So duration
Yes,
of this
Amit.
was like how many classes?
Okay, I'm coming to that. Okay, so I actually pointed out these three things. So who should join? So if you are actually interested in learning performance testing or about JMeter, definitely you can join. But preferably if you already have a background in software industry, but it doesn't matter what role you have. So that will be easy for you. And having a basic knowledge on programming language like basic Java, that will help you learning Bin Shell and JS223 scripting. Now, how much time is required? So there will be total 9 classes, not including this demo. And each class will be roughly 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So I would say up to 2 hours.
Okay.
But whatever is actually followed in this in each class, you need to put around 2x time yourself for practice. So, and this is what I expect from you guys, because otherwise what I see, like most of the candidates cannot follow me after 2-3 classes and they actually lose interest. So this is what I expect. Like there would be 9 classes which you can attend, but you need to put some time from your side to get the things in more practical way. Okay. So what is what you can expect from this course? And you will be able to understand performance clearly, do performance testing by using JMeter. So this is what you can expect. You will be able to easily create your script, will apply basic modification which is required for performance testing, like correlation, and then putting assertion, and then modification post script creation, and then you will be able to do performance testing. Yes, so these classes will be done on weekends only. On Saturday, classes will take the entire more than a month, or roughly a month. Yeah.
Yeah, hi Amit. Sorry for the interruption, but your voice is breaking too much.
Yes, it's breaking a
My
lot.
voice is breaking too much. Um, I know, like because I feel like I'm on a actually low bandwidth connection. So since I started it and actually moving to other location would be difficult. So just let me know when you are not able to understand. But from the next time onward, I will try upgrading my connection so you will get clear voice.
Okay, Amit.
Okay, so all right, so let's move actually. I mean, this is your you can on your own as well. So this has
With your voice is breaking, we're not at
what
all able to
JMeter
hear.
I understand. 1 second. Stop sharing my screen. Let me just change the connection. Just a second. other network. And I play screen again. Good to go.
Yes, Amit. Now we are able to hear you.
Yes.
All right. So I just sent this link in the chat. So this is the official JMeter website. There you can get quite many things to start. So it talks about what is JMeter, what is how to actually start with JMeter, what JMeter can do. Let me quickly go through it. Okay, so you should spend some time after this class by just going through this page. It has quite many details. So it's a 100% pure Java application, which was initially designed to load or designed to test functional behavior, and it was originally designed for testing web application, but has since expanded to other test functions. What can I do with it? So actually, JMeter is not just limited to testing the web or HTTPS application, but it has different protocols as well. So JDBC, database testing via JDBC, this is what we are going to look as well, apart from this HTTP and HTTPS protocol. But I think most of the application, more than 90-95% of application, are actually running on these protocols only. Others are actually quite rare. So, but this JMeter actually has the capability of testing other protocols as well. Just go through
So
it.
Amit, sorry for interruption. One question here. Is the JMeter useful to test web standalone applications like Windows and something?
No, so Windows and standalone application would not be able to under the coverage of it. So it has
do you have any tools to test that? Like you previously you told some tools, right? So do you have any tools to test?
So most of those tools are actually helpful in doing HTTP and basically what the protocols mentioned here for those only. If you talk about a native application, actually I have not done on my own any native application testing, because if you explore more, you would be able to justify that native application is not going to be performance blocker anymore, because if I talk about any native application which is running in my system only, that would be limited for that system.
That's true. That's true. But still, we may have some tools, right? If you have anything, please let me know.
Okay. We'll try exploring this, but at this moment, I don't have answer. Okay.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
All right. So just read this. Even this is important. The JMeter is not a browser, so it's not going to act as a browser, and it's not going to parse all those JavaScripts and CSS, but rather it's going to just fetch those and download those. The important thing that I would highlight here is just go through this link, recording tests. Under tutorial, there is a link, recording test, like how to actually record the script. Okay, so this has all the details that actually we will be going through in next or probably second class, but there are the things like you can explore even before we go into the before we go on our own in the class, so that you will have more questions, you will have more things to ask. So start with this page, you will get quite many things to start here. Okay, so now, as I told, like JMeter is actually absolutely free, even it's open source, and since it runs on Java, so it makes its platform independent. So the benefit is like you can run it on Windows, Linux, or on Mac systems. Only thing you have to have is the Java setup in which system you are running. Okay. JMeter is actually easy to script or easy to design test plan. So if you compare JMeter with other tool like Neoload or Load Runner, so those tools actually demands more programming language knowledge. So those are, I mean, especially the Load Runner, which is not a UI based tool at all. That demands actually either C or Java in not just very basic, but something more than that in order to perform, which can be actually done easily in UI as compared to the Load Runner. So it's easy to learn actually. Most of the things are available on the mouse clicks, and you can even writing any programming code, you can design a good level of test plan in JMeter. Since it is mentioned here that these not just support these protocols and these as well. So these are the native supports which are actually available in JMeter itself. But apart from that, there are plugins available which even expands the capability, like it supports other protocols as well. You can test Bolt protocol, Neo4j, and other different protocols. And I think the list is even longer. So once we get into that, you can explore the plugins, and even the requirement which is not being fulfilled by the standard or the native things available, then you can opt for those. You can go for those things through the plugin. So there are quite many things available which can be used. So I would say like um, WebSocket, which is not supported by default as a native support by this JMeter, but through plugin, you can even do WebSocket testing. So that's a cool thing about this JMeter. And even there are more plugins available for visualization of data. So you did performance testing, you got your results written in file. Now you want to analyze those results in more visual way. So you can actually add more listeners through this plugin, and you can actually get more visualization of data. Like you can look at the response time, response over time. You can look at the throughput and quite many details. So that is also which can be extended by using this more visualization plugin through this plugin manager. Okay. Any other question, or should we go setting this JMeter in the local system? How do we start, how to download, and just launch this JMeter? Okay, good to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so JMeter setup is quite easy. It's, I would say, even it's not a setup. Only thing you need is let the Java running in your system. So if you already have Java setup in your system, so the system can be either Windows, Linux or Mac, doesn't matter. You have Java. Now what you have to do is simply query JMeter download. And anyway, you will actually land to this. You just go to this home page of this JMeter. Okay. Now in the left side, you see download section. Under download section, there is a link, download releases. Just click on it. You can directly query like download JMeter. Okay, so you will actually eventually landing on this page only. Okay. Now the latest version is 5.6.2, which requires Java 8 plus. And you have to download from binaries only. So as I told, like it's the open source, so the source is also available. If you want to look at the source code of this JMeter, you can download the source, you can look at the code, you can make some changes, and then you can compile and build your own or modified version as well. But this is something we are not going to do. You just have to download it from the binaries section. Now, under this binary, this zip one, you can download it for the Windows. So if you are going to run this on Windows, just click on this Apache JMeter 5.6.2.zip. And for Mac and Linux, just download this compression, TZZ. Okay. So I already have downloaded it. Just click on it. It will start downloading. You save that, or by default, it will save in your downloads. And under your download, you actually will be getting a compressed folder. Next part is you have to just extract it. Okay. In my case, I extracted that under my D drive under Amit and under W2A. This is the actual folder that is extracted, Apache JMeter 5.6.2. Okay, so similar folder you will get even after downloading this other extension, which you are planning to run on Mac or on Linux system. Just download it, just extract it at any location. Location doesn't matter. You can keep it at any location you want. Okay, so once extracted, go to the folder. Now there are subfolders: binary, documents, extras, libraries, license, and then portable docs and all. What you have to do is to go inside the bin folder. Under bin, for Windows, what you have to do is just double click this jmeter.bat. Okay, so if I just double click on this jmeter.bat, or in some of the system, this extension might hidden, so you will just be having this JMeter, but look at the type. So Windows batch file. Okay, the type is Windows batch file or jmeter.bat. Just double click on it. It will look for the Java in your system and then will pop this JMeter UI. Okay, so look and feel is basically by default you will be getting, I think, not the metal, but you will get some dark UI, which you can adjust as per the look you like under the options, look and feel. I like actually this one, which is not the dark version, but the light one. By default, it launches in some dark version, I think one dark or high contrast. So that doesn't matter. I mean, it's up to you which look you like. That can be adjusted under the options. Options, look and feel, and then you just try whatever you like. All right, so this is quite simple, running a JMeter in any system, either Windows, Mac, or Linux. Only thing you have to have is the Java installed. Even you can download different versions, and you can keep multiple versions you want. You can go to the archives, Apache JMeter archives. If the requirement is to run not the latest one second, I think browse download area, but some binaries, yeah, some older version, you can go to the archive and you can download that as well. 5.5, 5.5 zip. Yeah. So the same thing. It's not going to install some file in C drive, programs, files, and all, or creating a registry. It's going to do nothing in your system. It's just everything inside this folder only. Wherever you keep this folder, you go to that folder, go to inside bin, and then just double click, and it will simply pop. All right, any questions so far? And same thing applies for the Mac and for Linux users as well. You have to go through this, you have to go at this path through your terminal. And for Mac or on Linux, you just execute this jmeter.sh. Okay, like we used to do in Linux or in Mac as well, like sh jmeter.sh or /jmeter.sh. So the same thing, it will look for the JMeter, it will look for the Java in your system, and then you will get the exact same UI. Okay, since now you are at this UI, this will be the same on any platform, exact same JMeter. Okay, so that's what, and that's complete the setup actually. Okay. By this time, I mean, you can just try it once and you can simply let this running. Okay, now let's go through this. What actually, now we will talk about the performance testing a little bit. We'll talk about what is performance testing, and then types of performance testing. Okay, and then we'll do a demo run actually by just creating a simple script in this JMeter itself. Okay. Okay, so I just took this example from this wiki. So what exactly the definition actually, what is performance testing? So in software quality assurance, performance testing in general at testing practice performed to determine how a system performs in terms of responsiveness and stability under a particular workload. So there are a few terminologies that we are looking here: responsiveness and stability and a workload. So which means that any application which is running on web would be faster if you are accessing that if you are accessing that application during non-peak hour. So let's say you are accessing that sometime in midnight or sometime in afternoon. Considering the peak hour is evening, you will get the responses faster. Like if you hit the home page, your home page might load in just a second, even less than a second. Okay, so this is what the common behavior of any application is. If you are accessing that during non-peak hours, or when the application is not having more or active users or multiple users accessing that, you will get faster responses. You hit the launch page, you get the response very fast, your home page is ready, you click here and there, and then you browse, you navigate to other pages, different pages, and you interact very well. But possibilities are the same application, you hit the launch page in your browser during the peak hours, like evening time, 7 p.m., 8 p.m. You experience like the application is not as fast as it was in afternoon. That generally happens, like because there is a load, there are many users accessing that application, causing slowness. Okay, so this is a performance concern actually, right? So this is what we are actually talking about. The whole concept will talk on this only, like how many users can access the application without making that slow, or even beyond, without breaking the application. Possibilities are like there are many users accessing the application, and the possibilities are your application will break. No one will be able to access. Okay, so our job is to identify that, okay, how many users can access the application without breaking. This is one objective, I would say, for performance testing. Another can be how many users can access without going beyond 3 seconds of response time. This can also be a objective, or this can also be a task to done. Like, okay, this is my application. Now I want to know like how many users can access, and my response time is not more than 3 seconds. Okay, so this is what we actually have to do. We have to identify something related to performance, like how many users can access without breaking, how many users can access within this much of response time, how many users can access my application without generating more than 1% error. Possibilities are my application is not broken, my application is not even slow, but there are errors actually. Few users are getting logged out, few users are not getting response properly, they are getting broken pages, blank pages, something like that. So those are errors. So I would be interested in knowing, like, okay, how many users can access without generating more than 1% of error. This can also be a objective. So that what kind of stuffs we are actually going to do by combining different skills, like by understanding what scenario is, so I can design a scenario that I can put more load, more users, and then understand that behavior. So combining all these concepts, we are actually going to basically understand this statement. Okay, like how
I
my
have a
application
question,
is
Amit.
performing. Mhm. Go ahead.
Amit, basically, when we design an application, so at the time, how do we estimate like my application? The things you are saying is very good, but how do we tell the client that this many users we can support? So this estimation, how is it done? Like, who tells us? Like the development team knows it, or the testing team is expected to do it while load testing. So how do you estimate while the initial things goes?
Mhm. Mhm. I would say it's a great question, actually. Thanks for that. Yeah, definitely, it's a good point, because I don't know, like, is 3 seconds is good for me or it's bad for me? I would say, like, okay, 3 seconds is fine for me. I can go for more users, right? One can argue like, no, 3 seconds is bad. Actually, we cannot go more than just 2 seconds. So this is the discussions. Like, it's the thing that we should be knowing, and then based on that we can decide, like, okay, this is what the good from what this is what the good number of users, or this is what the good response time for my application. So when the application are designed, these decisions or these things actually based on the complexity of the application are actually estimated by the architects. Okay, so the architects or the senior devs, they estimate, like, okay, this is what my application is doing. So it's not doing very complex computation, and based on some standards, my response time should not go 1 second. I mean, should not go more than 1 second. So they come up with the rough estimation. This is something which is done by the architect or by the senior members. Okay, so we are not the right persons to actually putting a cap, like, this is a good response time, this is a bad response time. Our job, our responsibility is to visualize those, like, okay, with this much of users we are getting this much of response time. Now you say, or now you tell, like, this is acceptable or not, it's your call, but this is what we are getting. This number of this percentage of error we are getting. So it's your call to either say it's acceptable or not, based on different factors. Okay, how complex the application is, or what client is demanding. I say, like, okay, my application is quite complex, and it will take roughly 3 seconds to do to load this page, but client is arguing, like, okay, I cannot afford more than 2 seconds. So in that case, 2 seconds is what my limit is. Now it's the burden to developer, or on the architect, to let this application perform within 2 seconds. Our job is to present the data, that, okay, this is what application, this is how the application is performing. I tested with this much of users. The expectation was to let the expectation was the response time within 3 seconds, but it was more than 3 seconds. So our job is to present the data, these decisions are on architect, on senior devs, product managers. And our responsibility is to ask about those SLAs. We should ask about the SLAs.
So just my
So,
last
Amit,
query, Amit, before we go for the session, does this estimation or the time, does it depend upon the technology they are choosing, the kind of
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
okay.
many factors. Yeah, how complex the application is, what computation is it's doing. If it's a data heavy data operation is going on behind the application, definitely there would be more estimations. If it's just a single call to API fetching out of 1,000 records, it should not more than few milliseconds. So there are multiple factors. The caching is enabled. It's directly hitting the database. Many other things, but we should not be worrying about those things. Our job is actually to present the numbers. Like we did tested with this much of users. This is what we are getting. Now, this is what the data we are just presenting. Now, you tell me like this is acceptable or not. If it's not, they have to optimize. Actually, it comes under the performance engineering, the further optimization, like where the performance is slow, where the bottleneck is, but this is something beyond this course that comes under a different aspect. That's the different area of performance engineering. Which job is to looking in more details where the slowness is. Was that CPU causing, memory causing the bottlenecks, a network bottlenecks, or any other things like the code itself, the logic, written logic itself. But this is something beyond the performance testing. It comes under the performance engineering, but even performance engineers, they find out the areas, and most of the work are done by the architect or dev or the DBA team. So
Thank you,
at
Amit.
this moment, yeah, this moment we should not be worrying about those things.
so Amit, one more question here. So previously you have shown the setup related to that in Windows, right? So consider, I want to know that ideally in a scenario we are running that with some API with some users and something, right? So we may do this in different networks. The performance of the API depends on the network what you are choosing. So is there any approach to make sure that the performance not linked with the network?
Yes, we should always be as close to the server we are hitting. So the best thing that we should be in the same network. So we should not include the network latency. That becomes the more close to the real performance number. If you are doing performance testing from your local system, that will include latency, which will show the wrong numbers as a performance.
Okay, so you're going to show how that should be performed as in cloud as well, right?
Honestly, no, but I would show like how you can launch this JMeter from the command line, which is which is the approach that you would be following if you have a Linux machine or any cloud application. Any cloud VM. So that's kind of like you can run this test from the command line that I will
But I have
demonstrate.
one query here. If we are doing this load test in a local machine or something, the capabilities of our machine is very less when with reference to the performance testing, right? In that case, there is a possibility of logouts or session timeouts occur. In that scenario, the whatever the reports you have generated also might not be a correct approach, as per my knowledge. Could you give some light on that?
So you are talking about the machine on which you are running the JMeter on, right?
Yeah, consider a scenario I'm running the JMeter in my local machine. The capabilities of the local machine is very limited.
Got it. So the first thing that the local machine should only be used for running, is creating a script and debugging the test plan. Once the plan is to run it as a final run, you should have a strong machine in the same network the server is. You should not run the real performance test from your local system, because the first thing that definitely you can have a strong system as well. Like my system is having 8 core and then 32 GB of RAM, which is quite strong to generate good number of users, but now it comes the latency. That is the problem. So
But how we
first thing
define that? That is my question.
okay, so there is no, okay, so if you go through this doc, okay, so I think there are something which is here, sorry, that how many numbers of users you can actually run from a single JMeter. That's what exactly the question is, right?
Yes. No, it comprises of two questions. One, when we are running the script locally, up to what extent my JMeter local system will bear. That is one question. And second question in this is how to identify which type of system we need to use at the time of running these kind of performance metrics.
Okay, so the straightforward answer I don't have at this moment, because I tried finding the, I mean, straight away answer for this question, and there is nothing mentioned. Because the reason, because let's say I'm running with 100 users load. Okay, now if I'm just hitting the API or the REST API calls, possibilities are that, okay, let me write something for you quickly. Possibilities are that my 2-core system with 4 GB RAM is sufficient for 100 users hitting the REST API calls, and mostly the gate calls, or I mean, you can say like any calls. But the trick here is why my this just a little system with 2-core and 4 GB is capable of doing 100 users run, because I might be getting or transmitting and receiving very less data. Let's say the data I'm just sending is the 20 KB of data, and what I'm receiving is just the 25 KB of data. Okay, so it's all the game of data you are sending and receiving. So the processing the JMeter takes is actually based on data only. Now, the same system might not be able to sustain 100 users, even 50 users, if you are hitting the HTML pages. Okay.
Okay.
So in that case, possibilities are that your JMeter will stuck, will hang, even might crash. So that's why there is no.
This might be possible in command line also, right?
Yeah, anyway, I mean, command line just will help that it will save some more resources. Like if you are able to run this with command line, possibilities are that you can only run 60 or 80 users, or just 70 users with the GUI. So command line can help you a little bit by just cutting the resources a little bit and help just adding few more users, but that can happen.
Okay,
Now,
so
what's the best thing? Go ahead.
sorry for interruption. Here, one thing is we'll take the above example only. So you are telling that for this configuration, we might use 100 users. Suppose consider the same users with more capabilities than this one. When you generate the report, there would be some difference in performance, right?
No,
No, I'm
that
asking
can be. Yeah, that can be, because if your JMeter is slow, the actual response time is just 1 second, but the processing of JMeter itself is a overhead. So it can show you 3 seconds, 4 seconds, even more than that. So
you mean to say whenever we are doing this performance, so we'll need to get the configurations also from client. Is it
that's
correct?
a good thing to get the configuration, and every time you should actually be having a strong machine. If you suspect that anyway you're actually the system is going slow, you have to opt for a distributed then. So two options here: either you can go with the more hardware for a single machine, like 8-core, and then increasing the RAM as well, or you can add similar kind of machine. So if I say that this is VM, so you can add like VM1 VM2.
Okay. Is this course cover the configuration of AWS or Azure?
Okay, so this is what kind of distributed testing, but this is not actually covered. I would say that this is well documented on the JMeter website. I will just let you know the other concepts, but this will not be thoroughly covered. Like I mean, going through the
At least
configuration and setting.
one example. At least one example.
I mean, no, distributed testing is not covered, but it will be covered just the theoretically, no, not in practical actually.
Okay. Okay, Amit.
But
No problem. Thank
yeah, but these things you were talking about, if you are like able to play around this JMeter, definitely. I mean, if you're able to run a complete script on your own by designing, understanding the things, definitely you would be able to do this setup. Not a big deal.
you. Okay.
All right, so let's move. I was talking about this performance objectives, like this is the definition, and the whole objective of learning and doing all things is to identify how my application is behaving in terms of responsiveness, and even it's stable, it's not broken, as I told, like if there are more users, the possibilities are my application is broken at all. It's not even accessible. So our job is to identify those cases, like how many users can break my application, how many users can make my application too slow. Okay, so when I say users, what those users will be doing, those users will be accessing my application, like hitting my home page. If I take the example of an e-commerce website, there are multiple products, so my users will be browsing products, searching for products, adding to cart, doing place order, and I mean the whole interaction. So the user interactions we call workload, like the users are active doing things on my website, they are accessing here and there, clicking. So that is workload, right? So I say like 100 users, they are generating workload, and then I have to identify the responsiveness and stability. This completes the definition, right? And I hope like things are clear to you. We talk about performance when we talk about workload, when we talk about the load on the system. Those loads we will artificially generate through this JMeter tool, and then we'll study how my application is performing in terms of responsiveness and stability, so that we can say my system will survive with this much of user, and then it will start degrading, and then it will finally break with that much of users. Okay, one good example I would say, like I'm a performance tester for one of the company. Each year there are few percentage of load increment happening. Load is actually increasing. So last year there were 1,000 users. My application was actually slightly degraded. Just assume like last to last year with 100 users, there was X response time with the 0.5% error. Last year, 1,000 users, X plus, let's say 1 second response time. Error slightly increased, which is now 0.75%. Now, current year, I just want to know, like, okay, if the load is increasing with few percentage, so expected load of this year is just say 1,200 users. Okay, slightly higher. Now I'm a little worried, like how much error percentage would be and how much response time would be. Okay, so this might be a requirement for me from the either from the client or from the product team, that okay, a performance tester just do this testing and see how my application is behaving. Is the error going more than 1%? The response time is degrading either further, or it's going with the same proportion. All those things, like even we are able to sustain this load or not. That's what. So now you come into the picture. You ask few questions like, okay, what are the pages I need to test? How many? So there are 1200 users, so you have to create login IDs, or you have to ask with the DBA. You have to record the script, design the script, perform validation, and finally running the test, and then reporting these steps. Okay, that I did with 1200 users. This is what the response time I see. This is what the error I see. Application was stable or broken or whatever. So this is what you are going to do. Okay. So this actually comes under the objective as well. Like the objective is to identify. So if I say like now every performance tests can have different objective, right? The objective is to identify, like with 1200 users, what's the response time and what's the error percentage, or even my application is stable or not. Okay, so this can be a 1 hour run, and I have to identify these things, that within 1 hour, what's the status on these things. Another objective can be like I have to do a performance test for a longer period of duration, not 1 hour, but let the load run, or let the users run for 12 hours, or even further, let the users run for 24 hours, and then see. Because if the application is running towards the crash, it might sustain 1 hour, but it's quite hard to sustain 12 hours. Even harder to sustain 24 hour if it's moving toward the crash, the memory is growing, or something is wrong happening. 1 hour is quite easy to sustain, but not this much. So in that case, my objective becomes different. I have to do a longer period test. Okay. So what you have to find, what you have to identify from a performance test, the objective can be different, right? Okay, good to move. Now, this is what performance testing types are. Like we say, key different types are load, stress, endurance, spike. So endurance, this is what I talked when we run for longer period, longer duration. Spike, as the name it has, it's a quick, sudden load in a quite short time period. So I would say like there are many users that started doing activity, like if it's a e-commerce application, think of Amazon or Flipkart. A sale is about to start, so now there would be quite many users start doing or start purchasing the items, so there would be a sudden load in the application. Okay, so simulating that kind of behavior, doing a testing by simulating that behavior of users, quick sudden users start doing activity. So we now look at like if there are too many users generating a spike in the system, what happens? So that kind of simulation is known as spike testing. Stress testing is something that we do with the higher number of users. Like the max users application can sustain before it breaks. Okay. So before doing stress testing, first you have to know the breakpoint of your application. And now again, it comes to the same point, like how do we know like this is the breakpoint? How many users or the error percentage or the response time? So all these limits that comes under the SLA, you should actually be asking by the application, from the application owner, product owner, or from the architect, like how much response time is acceptable, how much error percentage is acceptable, what is the throughput that, I mean, not the throughput, at this moment response time is good. I would say like response time should be less than, let's say, 2 seconds. Error percentage should be less than 1%. Few other metrics which might not be relevant for us, but CPU should be less than 75%. So these things we should know before defining a breakpoint. Now, the stress testing is something that we test just touching the 2 second of response time, not actually 2 second or more than that, because this is what the max or the breaking point I would consider. My response time goes more than 2 seconds, I will say my application is broken, because beyond 2 seconds, nothing is acceptable. Okay. So testing at that load is known as a stress, whereas load testing is something always less than stress, that my application, a load my application can happily handle. Okay. Not stressing out. Okay. Any question? Or
Will
should we
you
go
cover
with
volume testing?
volume? Yeah. Actually, it's a, if you know the concept, right? So I would say like volume is what? See, volume involves more data. Okay. So when we talk about the volume testing, we focus on the area where my application, or we more focus on the transmission of data, where things are moving heavily. Okay. A load testing can generate a volume as well based on the application scenario we are accessing. Now think the same application, I'm hitting the home page. Okay. That's with some number of users, which is generating a good amount of load. But same number of users, if I'm accessing the account section page of the users, where there are a lot of data is returned. Like if I hit the order detail page, there are 50 or 100 of orders, which is fetched. So where there is an involvement of,
the slides.
sorry. Was that for me? All right. So when we deal with the huge amount of data, that becomes the volume testing. Okay.
Okay.
Give
Yeah,
me
okay. Yeah. So when we deal with the huge or the high volume of data, where the transmission of data is high, we call that testing a volume test. Okay. So let me go through this demo run, like at this moment, since just for the demonstration, I will be creating a script which might not be, I mean, at this moment, you might not be able to understand it very easily, but yeah, let's go through this. Just a simple test plan I will be designing in my JMeter. So I will be just creating a script manually. There are two approaches of generating a script. I can record the script by navigating into the browser, And another is like I can design the script manually, adding the component in my JMeter, required components in my JMeter, and then I know like what is required in my script in order to do a run. So I go through those stuffs manually. Manual is something difficult. The high chances of doing or making human errors. So we recommend going through the recording process only. Like you can write your Selenium script manually. Even there are plugins available in the browser where you can just go through the plugins. I mean, install the plugin and then integrate it, navigate the pages, and that will be automatically generated as a Selenium script. So same kind of stuff. Okay. So at this moment, I will just go creating a single page manually and then just doing a simple performance testing run. So I do have my JMeter open here. It opens with actually absolutely opening nothing, but the test plan, which is the main part. So here we have quite many things. So if I right click on test plan, there are things like thread group, config elements, listeners, timers, pre-post processors, and whole lot of stuff. So at this moment, I actually know like what element I need. So each stuff you see here, we can simply call it element. So this is an element with the name CSV dataset config that comes under the config element itself. Okay, but we can call anything out of this list is a element. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is going to add a thread group which comes under the threads or users. And this one, the second item I'm going to add here, right click on test plan, add threads, thread group. Okay, because so here is the thing, I'm going to do a performance test or run a test, but how exactly, what website I'm going to test? Okay, let me give you the website. We can test this one as well, but let me just give you this website, petstore.octoperf.com. Okay. Enter the store. Okay, so this link, let me send you. Okay, so this is the demo website, guys. You can go through this, navigate it, play around it. Okay, just try if you know like or if you just follow this this one, what is that, this one, right? Recording test. So if you just follow this, you can try recording this website only. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually just creating a test plan for this website and for this page, because there are multiple pages. This is the launch page, I would say, but there are other different pages. Like there is a page for fish. Again, I go back to the launch page or the home page. There is a page for dogs. There are multiple pages which can be the target pages for my performance script. That we will talk later, like what are the different pages we should cover, or how we should cover if I talk about the performance testing of this page. But at this moment, I would say let's go through just running a performance test for this launch page itself. Okay, now I do have this page. What I have to do, simply create a script and then run a test. So at this moment, what I'm going to do for this page, I'm going to run with 2 users and for 10 iterations. So what these 2 users are going to do, each user will iterate 10 times. So since there are two users, 10 iteration each, I will be ending up doing 20 hits for the page. Okay, so I will just hit this page 20 times in a loop. Each user will keep iterating 10 times. So there will be two different users, let's say user 1 and then user 2, or in term of JMeter, rather than calling or saying it user, we call it thread. Okay, so I would say thread 1 and thread 2. Okay, so there would be two users or threads, and they will keep hitting the page 10 times, right? Similarly, this one, hitting the page 10 times. Okay, so you can think of it as a loop. So each user will get into a loop. They will iterating this page simply. How many times? 10 times. Okay, so I'm going to create a test plan or create a script for this page, two users, 10 iterations each. All right, let's look at this. For that, I need few things. The first thing is the thread group. Hey, just a quick question. Like, I feel like my UI fonts are quite small, so I hope like things are visible to you guys properly, right? Like you can see the things clearly. Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, we can say it.
Yes, we can.
All right, all right. So I need a thread group, and then next item I need is the sampler. At this moment, you might confuse like, okay, what these things are. How do I know like I need to add a thread group, and then how do I know like I need to add a sampler, and then what sampler? Because sampler list itself has too many samplers. Okay, so HTTP request, right? So this one I need because my application is running on protocol HTTP or HTTPS. So this sampler HTTP request have support for both HTTP and HTTPS protocol. So any application which runs on this protocol, HTTP or HTTPS, you have to add this HTTP request type sampler. How to get it? Right click on the thread group. Inside the sampler, HTTP request. Okay. Now you have a thread group inside this test plan, and inside this thread group, you have a sampler. The sampler is of type HTTP request, or we call it HTTP request sampler. Okay. Now, quite many things to look at this time. First, it has a name. You can put a comment here. There are two sections, basic and advanced, and there are a few fields which I have to fill actually, which I have to put some values to. So basically, this sampler is actually going to hit the page, whatever we provide here. Okay, so the protocol is HTTPS. So I copy it, go on the protocol, paste HTTPS. If the protocol is HTTP, if you just leave it blank, that will be default pass as HTTP. But since it's HTTPS, you have to explicitly pass it. Now it's comes the server name or IP. What is this? This is this part. This domain name or server name, you will just copy it and will put it inside this section. Port will keep it nothing. That will be the default. No port is actually required here. The next thing is the actions, the path, actually the page path. This is what we call the path, and the JMeter also calls it the same, a path. So this is going to be the path as per my JMeter. So I copy that and paste it here. You don't need to put a slash here because that will be automatically added. So no need slash in the path. I mean the beginning with slash. That's all. The another thing is the quite important thing, the method. So since we are just hitting this into the browser, this page, we are making a get call, right? It's not a post call. The post call we will be talking about when we are going to just cover this a sign-in page. Now, on the sign-in page, we put username and password, and then click the sign-in or login button. So that goes as a post protocol. Sorry, post method. So this post method we'll cover later, but at this moment we are just going to do a get call for this page. So the method I will keep as the get only. By default, the method is get unless you change it. Okay, so now this is the request which I created actually. The request is what? It's I would say the home page. Okay, I can rename it actually because I can further have more pages. I can further add new page as click login. Okay, and then I can fill the details of click login page. Like when I click login or click sign in, what is actually getting passed? So this URL is actually getting passed. So now it goes like we have to have different pages, different interactions. Since this is a website that provides some pages to purchase online, I can go till the place order page. I can choose a pet, add that pet into my cart, and then proceed with the payment details, and then putting payment details and placing order. So all those pages I can actually add here. Okay, click sign in by filling the correct URL which is getting passed on clicking on these pages, different pages. But now you can think like there can be 8 to 10 pages if I just going to cover end to end and actually designing all those pages and filling the correct path, correct protocol, correct method, correct query parameter, correct body data will be difficult, right? That's why we actually opt for the recording. We go through the recording method, not the manual creation. But let me delete it. I actually designed it manually because I just wanted to hit the home page only. That's quite easy, right? It's a single page I can quickly add manually rather than going through the recording process. Now, good. Added a thread group, added a home page. Now let me add one more thing, which is the listener, which is view results tree. Okay. Now these different elements will show different things. This is the page itself. This is the element that will capture the data which is sent and which is received as a response. Okay. Unless you add it, you might not be able to know like what data is sent. I mean, what request you made. Definitely you will be able to make a request and even the response for that. So these element view results tree will show all those details that we want to look at, like the request we made with along with the header, at what time, what size we sent, in response, what data we got actually. Okay, what was the size of that data, what's the response time for that response, and a whole lot of stuff. All those things you will get captured by adding this element under the listener. There are many listeners for different data that you want to look into, but at this moment we added view results tree, which is a kind of listener that shows quite many data that we want to look like. It's a debug type of listener that will show you in detail data. Okay, so view results tree. Now by default, when I added this thread group, the number of users is just one, right? And what I want is that 2 users. So I will make it 2. And the iteration, just leave it for now. Leave this ramp up for now as default as 1 second. Now, the next thing that I will be changing inside this thread group is the loop count. How many loop or iteration I want? I want 10 iterations, right? So I will be simply changing it to 10. Now, this thread group actually applies these users and these iterations to the pages. So this is the HTTP request, which I will call a page. Like this is the home page, right? Because I put the home page URL here. So this home page will be controlled by this thread group. How? Like how many users will hit this home page? How many iterations they will hit the home page? Okay, so you keep adding the pages inside this thread group, and how many users you put, how many iterations you put, all those pages will be performed as per the details you put in thread group. So you put 2 users, 10 iterations, then 2 users will hit this page and they will keep hitting 10 times. Quite simple. Now in view results tree, just select it, and here's the button. You just click start, right? So since this is not saved, this test plan is not saved, you can say yes, save it, or you can just say no, it will not save, and it will start your test. It's up to you. At this moment, I don't want to save this test plan, so I will say no, and it will keep hitting the page. Okay, so this home page, so you see here, right? 1 second. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was expecting, so why it's stuck kind of. 1 second. 1, 2, 1, 2. So only the second user is actually running. Ramp up. 1 second. Okay, so connection timed out. All right. Something was not right at that moment, but anyway, what we got, like total 20 hits, right? Each user made 10 requests. So total 2 users made total 20 requests. Now, if you click on view results tree, if you click on any of the item listed inside view results tree, you get all these details. Okay, too many details are here.
So Amit, this is Veena. So I have a question, like view result tree. It will be one for one thread group, or it will be, like you said, in one thread group, we can have multiple pages, right?
Right.
So this view result tree will be for all pages in one thread, right?
Now, okay. Depends, like where you are keeping this view results tree. So there is a hierarchy, or you can say like it's a parent-child relation. This tree follows parent-child relation. So now this view results tree is a child of this thread group. Okay, so even these two are the child of this thread group parent. So this is the parent, these two are child. So any other pages that you keep at the same level, I mean, these different pages and then view results tree are the child of this thread group. This view results tree would be able to capture all different pages. Okay. Now, chances are that I can move it inside the page only. Okay. Now this view results tree become the child of this page. Now this can only capture this page only. Now, if I add another page here, this view results tree will not be able to capture this page because it's beyond its limit, because it's just a
So
child of
in
it.
regular practice, what should be the case? Should we
The
take
regular practice is like you can just keep one view
one?
results tree and
Okay.
on a single thread group, or even there are multiple thread groups you want a single listener to capture the across the thread groups. You can keep it at the test plan level, because now this will become at the same hierarchy of the thread groups, different thread groups, so it can capture across the thread groups. Okay, so just go through this because
So, Amit, um, hello, hello.
go ahead.
Is this configuration like a single view group in all the thread groups? This will impact any reporting?
Definitely not. It's just up to you. Like if you want a combined report, you can just keep it a single view results tree. You want just a separate report, separate results for the separate thread group, you can keep it inside
No,
the
no.
thread
My question
group.
here is, consider I have one thread group. I have around 5 to 6 APIs or pages what we are using. So if I give 3 to 4 listeners, based on the listeners, the reporting metrics will define, or it
No,
is
no,
a standard one for all, irrespective of what listeners you are using.
it's a standard, and it's the same and equal for all, irrespective of listener.
Okay.
Um, just go through this page. I think this hierarchy stuff was somewhere mentioned. Okay. Change list, read about maybe. You can find it actually, because that was mentioned. This hierarchy stuff that I'm telling you, that was mentioned. But
Okay.
as general, you can just keep this thread group, this listener inside a thread group, so that it can capture all the request under a thread group. Now, let's come to the one important point. It's hard to read the result actually, right? Because adding a view results tree, that gives quite details, like what was this thread group, at what time I started the test, what was the time. So this is the actually the load time is the response time, the connect time is 0, because initially you see the connect time is 1233, which means my first connection was created, and then the rest of the requests were sent on the same connection, so no connect time for the subsequent request. So the load time is what the response time is, and a whole lot data, like what's the response code and all. I'm interested in looking into the average response time, like out of 20 pages, what's the average response time? So am I going to do calculation manually, like calculating, summing up all the load time and then dividing with the number of requests? No. So there are different listeners available actually, like my favorite, and not just mine, but anyone who is in practice of reading the reports, summary report and aggregate report, right? So if you go with the aggregate report, and I'm just let me perform this run one more time. And now before running this test one more time, you can just keep these results, or you can just clear all these results. Okay, so it's up to you. But if you're going to take a fresh data, reading the data one more time for these pages, you can just clear this and then freshly make the request and then run it. I mean, then read it again. So how you can do that? You can just clear all and the clear. So clear is something. So the listener you selected, that will be only cleared. The data will only be cleared. Clear all will clear all the listeners' data inside this test plan. Okay, there are many listeners. You don't want to go each clear, so you just do clear all. All listeners' data will be cleared. Okay, so basically you wiped up all the data. Now I want this test to be done one more time, but not looking in the view results tree, but into the aggregate report. Okay, the view results tree, now you see everything clean. We got 20 samples done, 2 users, 10 iterations, a total 20 iterations. The aggregate report is one which shows something meaningful in short, okay, which says that my home page is done 20 times. The average of 20 sample is 507, and this number is in millisecond, always in millisecond. So the average response time I got was 502 millisecond, and at this point there was no error, and the number of requests I made was like roughly 3.6 requests each second I was sending for 5 seconds. So here at the top, it shows the entire duration of your run. So this run last for 5 seconds. So it ran for 5 seconds. I mean, it took roughly 5 seconds for these users to iterate 10 times. And during that 5-second period, the request was sent per second was 3.6. Average data I received and average data I sent. Okay, but the important thing is the response time, 0% error, and the throughput. That's what I got. So we'll talk about this aggregate report more on these other metrics like 95, 90, and min max, and what else? Median. So for now, this is what it just shows the average. Like I run 100 iterations, 1,000 iterations, and then I can quickly look what was the average response time, or was there any error? Okay.
Sorry to barge in. So basically, this then depends on the speed of individual machines, because what I have on my system is sort of different from what you have on yours there.
Not my local machine. So you are
because when you have
you're talking about the JMeter?
Yeah, when you have average there, you have 507 on average. I have 62 on mine. When you have median, you have 400. I have 42 on mine. When you have
right.
90 line, I have 72. So I'm just wondering what that depends on.
Right. So that's a good point, actually. Now there are factors. This data that we are that I actually get here is the average. Yeah, that includes my network latency. That includes my network bandwidth. Like if I upgrade my connection to a more faster connection, possibilities are that I reduce my latency. The average will be actually down. Okay. Right. So even like this server that I'm testing, I don't know where these servers are hosted. I'm hitting this request from India, and if these servers are hosted somewhere in US, I by default adding few latency. In your case, which might not be, right? So that's what the reason I told the best way of doing a performance test is to have a VM or a machine in the same network where your servers are hosted, so that you actually
get
not
accurate response.
adding any network latency. Yeah, so you get the actual response as close to the server which your server is sending, your client is immediately receiving, and you get the actual response that you can get. So that's the best practice of doing that. And here, based on my network latency and few other factors, this can vary, right? So that happens based on the location of the application deployed, and based on the client that you are using. If you're using on the other end, the client is sitting on the other end, there will be a difference. Client is within the same state, close to the server, there will be less latencies. Yeah.
Understood.
All right. So now I'm planning on closing this session. Just let me know your questions, because this was just a demo, and the objective was to make you let your questions let things see like what we are covering, how we are going to learn, what we're going to learn. These things will keep into more details once we get into the session. Like how to add more pages, what things to look. This is just a single request test plan. We have to add an end-to-end test plan by adding more pages. So different methods, quite many things. Okay, understanding these things in more detail. Okay, let me know if you have any question.
Amit, will there be any WhatsApp group for this, those who are interested to join the session? Because up till now, I have not received any from Rahul's end.
Okay, so what I know, like once you confirm your participation, you will be added to the WhatsApp group. So if you're planning on actually continuing on this course, definitely you will be added into the WhatsApp group. There is a group available. I mean, definitely you will be. Possibilities are in few days, like before the start of the actual class next Saturday.
This session is Saturday and Sunday, right?
This
At
session
6
is
p.m.
Saturday and Sunday, 6 p.m., roughly 6 to 8.
Okay. So probably from next week, we are going to start the original sessions,
Yeah,
right?
coming Saturday only. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Amit. The session was really nice and I am good with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Amit.
guys. So yeah, we'll close this and okay. So possibilities are that before buying a subscription or before joining this session, finally you might have any further questions. So this is the email you
So
can actually use.
Amit, do we have any PDF for this session? Like what you are going to cover and all the things in PDF?
Definitely. I have shared that to the Rahul, which I believe would be available on the Way to Automation website. So just go through that, navigate to the performance section, and just try to find that there would be a detailed list of the things that we will be covering, each and every detail, like what actual items we will be covering. If you are not able to find that, just drop me an email on this or any other question, like any one of you have any query or anything to ask before involving in this course. So you can just let me know your question on this. Okay.
Sure, Amit.
Okay. All right, guys. So I'm closing this. And just let me know if you have any question on this email. Right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure,
Bye.
Amit. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.